The story began in a quiet little cafe on the edge of the city.
It wasn't fancy, a few wooden tables, the smell of coffee beans in the air, and soft music playing in the background.
But that small cafe would soon witness something no one could forget.
Amir, a struggling young mechanic in his late 20s, was wiping the grease off his hands and counting the last few coins in his pocket.
Life hadn't been kind to him.
His mother's medical bills were piling up, his workshop rent was overdue, and his dreams of building a better future seemed to drift further away each day. That afternoon, as rain tapped gently against the window, a black car, sleek, expensive, silent, stopped outside the cafe. From it stepped a woman who looked like she belonged in a different world.
Her name was Sarah.
Elegant, poised, dressed in white with eyes that carried both pain and power.
Everyone turned to look.
She didn't fit in this modest place, and yet, something about her said she didn't belong in her own world anymore either. She sat at a corner table, ordered tea, and stared out the window as if she was waiting for something, or someone. A few minutes later, a man entered, tall, cold-eyed, wearing a suit that screamed money and authority. He was Mr. Iqbal, a self-made millionaire, known in the city for his ruthless business tactics and icy heart.
He glanced around the cafe until his eyes fell on Sarah. "Sarah," he said quietly, "we shouldn't be meeting here."
Amir, who was refilling cups nearby, caught fragments of their conversation.
The tone wasn't that of a husband and wife. It was strained. Distant. Sarah's voice trembled. "You said we were partners, Iqbal. But you've changed. You've become someone I don't recognize." Mr. Iqbal didn't respond immediately.
He looked around the cafe, at the poor faces, the smell of oil and coffee, the flickering light above them.
"You shouldn't come to places like this. It doesn't suit you." At that moment, Amir dropped a spoon. It clattered to the floor, echoing louder than it should have.
Sarah turned toward him, and their eyes met.
Something in her softened.
She gave him a small, kind smile, the kind only people who've known loneliness understand. Over the next few weeks, Sarah started visiting that cafe more often.
Sometimes she'd sit in silence.
Sometimes she'd talk to Amir, asking about his mother, his dreams, his life. He never asked about hers, but he could tell she was carrying a kind of sadness money couldn't fix.
One evening, as the sun sank behind the city skyline, Sarah arrived looking pale and anxious.
She clutched a folder tightly against her chest. Amir noticed her trembling hands.
"Are you okay, ma'am?" he asked. She forced a smile. "Just a storm, Amir. Sometimes it comes from outside, sometimes from within." Before Amir could say anything more, a group of men in black suits stormed into the cafe.
They surrounded her.
Mr. Iqbal followed behind them, his face dark with anger. "You really thought you could betray me?" he hissed. "After everything I gave you?" The cafe went silent. Every customer froze.
Amir felt his heart pound.
Sarah stood, still holding the folder. "Betray you?"
"I'm protecting you from yourself, Iqbal. These papers, they're proof of what your company has been doing to those poor workers.
The people you once promised to help." "Enough!" Iqbal barked. He grabbed her arm roughly. Amir couldn't stay still.
"Sir, please, you're hurting her."
Everyone turned toward him. Iqbal's eyes narrowed. "And who are you to speak to me?" Amir's throat tightened, but he stood firm. "Just someone who knows right from wrong."
For a moment, time froze. The men moved closer to Amir. But before anything could happen, Sarah did something that made the entire room gasp. She stepped forward, placed her hand protectively on Amir's shoulder, and said loudly, her voice steady, almost defiant,
"Tell him I'm your wife." The room went completely silent. Even the rain outside seemed to stop. Mr. Iqbal's expression twisted with disbelief. "What did you just say?" Sarah's hand didn't waver. "You heard me. I'm his wife."
"So if you touch him, you touch me."
Amir's eyes widened.
He didn't understand why she said it, but in that moment, he saw something fierce in her eyes.
She wasn't trying to deceive anyone.
She was protecting him, standing up for what was right, even when it could cost her everything. Mr. Iqbal's jaw clenched.
His men hesitated, unsure of what to do.
The strength in Sarah's voice shook even the most heartless among them.
After a long silence, Mr. Iqbal turned and walked out. His men followed. The cafe was left in stunned stillness. Amir turned to Sarah, whispering, "Why did you say that?"
Tears finally escaped her eyes.
"Because
I couldn't let another good person suffer because of his power.
And because once, I wished someone had done the same for me."
She handed him the folder.
"These papers, they'll expose him. You'll know what to do."
And just like that, she walked out of the cafe, leaving Amir holding the truth that could change everything. Days later, the city's headlines exploded with the story of a millionaire's corruption exposed by a brave woman. Mr. Iqbal's empire crumbled under the weight of his lies. But Sarah, she disappeared, leaving behind nothing but whispers of her courage. Months later, Amir rebuilt his workshop. This time, it wasn't just a place for fixing engines, it became a safe space for the people Iqbal's company had ruined. Above the counter hung a framed photo, a picture of Sarah sitting in that cafe, smiling softly at the camera.